Hello, Professor. Hello, everyone. So this is my final coding project. I decided to make it about Hangman, as you guys can see here. Okay, so very important part of this code. I use this import random command, or I guess the command is down here, random.choice, but I used import random to essentially use this random command which selects a random word from the word bank that I created. So I made a word bank for the Hangman game. Nothing too complicated. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It has 9 words in it. And what this does right here is I saved the chosen word in a variable called word, and then word equals random.choice, and that is selecting a random choice from whatever's in the parentheses. So the word bank. So it's selecting one of these random words, and that is the word that you are guessing for. Now, what you see here on the screen, I found an ASCII generator. It's called ASCII art, which is what you see here. The entire letter is basically made up of smaller letters. There's a generator. You can probably find multiple ones, but I found one online, and that is what I used to make this right here, which prompts the user if they win, and this function that prompts the user if they lose. So all you do is the way I made it work is you call the function and it'll just print everything here. Now each line has, little blocks, but when the whole thing is printed together, it makes this sign. So either you win, you lose. And I use the same generator for the win, the lose, and for the hangman sign. Another important thing, the stages are saved within this right here, this array, or this list. So this right here is the first stage, or it's index 0, and then this is index 1, index 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the last one is 6. So as the game is going on, it calls the stages. And then something else that I've never used before is import OS, which I used it so that I can use the os.system clear command. Now the way I made my code run is there's pretty much a while loop, and it prompts the user for a letter. Now, when you input the letter, the code is checking for multiple things. The first thing that I made it ask for, or check, I guess, the conditional statement, it's checking if the letter is a letter to begin with. So aside from letters on the keyboard, you can enter symbols, you can enter numbers, or you can enter nothing. So I made an if statement to check if the letter is indeed nothing, if there's no input. If there is no input, it'll prompt the user to please enter a single letter. Now right here under the hangman sign, I made right here, print status. Now I made status just equal blank. But when the user enters something in the input, the status, which is blank right now, it's under the hangman, it'll change. So status is pretty much representing the message that the program is sending to the user, so they know, or so they have feedback on whatever letter they guessed. So let's say I put Z. I know Z is not any of the letters. So if I enter Z, it'll say wrong. Strike one. Okay, so it gets Z, it adds it to the letter bank right here. If the letter's correct, it'll swap it with the underscores here, but it was wrong. So it just adds it here, it adds a strike, and then if you notice, it adds the head to the hangman, and then the status changes to wrong. Right here. Else if letter is not in word, so if the letter is not in the word, the strikes go up, so now strike is 1. The status gets changed, so now it's no longer blank, now the status has been changed to wrong. Print blank, prints blank, and then it adds this to the letters. So what this code is doing here is it's adding the letters to a bank. So if you type in that letter again, it doesn't mark you wrong a second time. So I put in Z, I'm gonna enter Z again. It prompts you already entered this letter. So it knows you entered the letter and it doesn't mark you wrong for it again. Now there's also a code here to check if the letter is not, but this is basically the alphabet. So if you enter a symbol or a number, it's gonna tell you again please enter a single letter. So here it says you already entered this letter. So I'm gonna put 44. I put enter. It says please enter a single letter. I don't know why it's not showing. So if you put in a number, you put in a symbol, it'll tell you this. Please enter a single letter. XZ, same thing. Please enter a single letter. So you can't guess the entire word. You pretty much have to do it letter by letter. Now, if you get something else wrong, X, not part of it, you see it'll say strike 2, strike 3. Oh, that's a correct one. Strike 4, strike 5, and then, nope. Okay, now strike 6. Okay, so when you run out of strikes, the program will prompt that you lose right here. This code is reflected right here at the bottom. So if strikes equals 6, which is what happens here, the strikes go to 6, it pretty much clears the screen. It shows the last stage, which is the entire Hangman, and then it prints the you lose sign. Now you have the option of playing again. So if you put no, it's basically going to terminate the program, or not terminate the program, but the code I put here is that basically if they don't input yes, what it's going to do is it's going to make the game false, and once the game is false, then the while loop up here is just going to stop running. And then I told it to break out of this while loop, so it's going to come back over here, this is going to be false, and then it's just going to end it. Now, else, if the person puts yes, it's going to reset the strikes to 0. It's going to randomly select a different word. It's not going to give you the same word that you just played with. It's going to completely clear all the blanks. It's going to change the letters that were in the word bank. And then the status is going to go back to clear. Since the user is starting from a beginning fresh game, there's no status message yet. So I'm going to put Y. I'm going to put enter. And then the code pretty much runs you back to the beginning. Now let's try to guess what the word is. Okay, so as you can see, I know what the word is, but here you'll see that these are all the letters that I was guessing along the way. It gave me 1 strike. The wrong letter was O, and then the correct letters are here. These are all the letters that I've guessed. You guessed a letter, so it tells you. Now the last one is R. Now this is if you win. If you guess the letter correctly, it'll prompt you right here, you win. And then it asks, do you want to play again? Now basically for the you win, you lose, I used 2 different conditions. So the way that it knows that you won is that there's no more underscores in blank. So if there's no more underscores in blank, it clears the screen, it prints this win sign, and then it asks you if you want to play again. Now this is pretty much the same as when you lose. It's checking if you're putting yes. If you don't put yes, if you put anything but yes, which is Y, it's going to make the game false, it's going to break out of the loop, and it's going to end the program. Now if you do put yes, it's going to reset the strikes and all the other information about the program, and then it's going to restart the loop. So since everything is getting refreshed, it's basically forgetting that there were any strikes, it's changing the word, and now since the strikes are back down to 0, it's going to go back to the beginning. So I'm gonna press Y instead of pressing N, and then here we are back to the beginning. So just to give an example, I want to show what happens when you, okay, so this is lose, I'm going to put N for no, and then yeah, so the program pretty much, it just stops right there. So that is my final project. Thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you liked the game. I thought it was interesting. It was cool. This is probably the coolest thing that I think I've coded. It took a while. It was a little complicated at first, making all the conditions for the word. I was having trouble with the OS system clear thing. It was pretty much working perfectly, and then I tried to do the system clear thing, and then that, since I became so persistent with it refreshing on the same screen over and over again, I had to kind of change things around. But I kind of made it work at the end. So yeah, um, that's it. That's my final code.